like Kent Hovind say that your views are against the Bible, that you do not believe in young earth creationism, and that puts you against the Bible. What is your response?
Well, I debated him for 2 hours on national television back in the year 2000. We distribute the uncut, unaltered recording of that. His recording has been significantly altered. We give it to you exactly as it happened. And if you watch that DVD, what you discover, the unaltered one, is that he basically just called me a bunch of names and the scientific community a bunch of names. And the moderator tried to get him to produce evidence for his position, but he wasn't forthcoming and would just dismiss all the evidence that I was presenting. So, um, you really, I would argue, trying to win a debate through ad hominems basically shows you how weak your case is. And in response, I've written a book called A Matter of Days, now in a second edition, where I basically tell people it's not enough to read the Bible literally. That's what Kent Hovind kept insisting. We have to read the Bible literally. I kept reminding him that there are several key Hebrew words that have multiple literal definitions. So there's more than one literal interpretation of the Bible. But he kept insisting there was only one. However, how we can discern which of those different alternate interpretations is correct is to read the Bible consistently. Don't just look at one chapter of the Bible. Look at all 66 books. And what I've tried to document in A Matter of Days, if you read all the creation texts in the Bible, not just in Genesis, but in all 66 books, both literally and consistently, it rules out the possibility of a young earth interpretation of the text. Because that's Kent Hovind's position, that the earth and the universe are only thousands of years old. And I was responding that if you actually look at the Hebrew word day that's used in Genesis 1, it's got 4 distinct literal definitions, 3 of which are used on the first page of the Bible. And one of those is that it's the daylight hours. That's what you see in Creation Day 1, where God contrasts days and nights. Creation Day 4, the text contrasts seasons, days, and years. That's day referring to 24 hours. But in Genesis 2:4, it uses the word day to refer to the entirety of creation history. That's day as a significant passage of time. And what I tried to point out to Ken Hovind is that you have the first 6 creation days bracketed by an evening and a morning. And the words for evening and morning in the Hebrew have multiple literal definitions, but they all mean the beginning of something and the ending of something. So the text is telling us those first 6 days have a start point and an end point. But when you get to day 7, there's no evening morning praise. It's basically telling us we're still in God's 7th day. And when you read Psalm 95 in Hebrews 4, it explicitly tells us that we're still in God's 7th day. So that's the reason why I believe these days that we see in Genesis 1 are 6 consecutive long periods of time that have a start point and an end point that's followed by a 7th day that's not yet finished. God will create again in the future, but right now it's his day of rest when he does not create. Rather, he focuses on redemption. His goal is to redeem billions of human beings unto himself, free of evil and suffering. And when that complete number has been reached, as it tells us in Romans 8:23, then we enter in to the new day that follows the end of the 7th day. And when I read that as a young scientist, it says, now I understand why so many biologists think there is no God and so many physicists and astronomers believe there is. Because most research biologists, they do their research in the human era. And the Bible tells us that's when God ceases from his work of supernatural interventions into the created order. What we see in the 7th day is natural process only in creation. But for 6 days God created. So we look before the creation of human beings, we see abundant evidence for these supernatural interventions. And so those of us that are looking at the past, we see the evidence everywhere in the book of nature. But those scientists that are focused only on the present era, they say, we see no evidence for the supernatural intervention of a creator. They're looking on the wrong day.